Hello, my name is Eva, this is my dad, Jan, is what I said on the 4th grade November campout in front of about 50 other dads and daughters. I was promptly responded to with the chorus of, "What? We can't hear you. I'm going to need you to speak louder," and was immediately overwhelmed again. Nevertheless, I had a blast the rest of that weekend. I truly cannot believe I am up here speaking with you all today. I know it sounds very cliche, but I have actually been dreaming about this since I was little. Ever since I saw the seniors giving their speeches about their HATS experience when I was in the 4th grade, I have wanted to do the same. I am incredibly grateful to Chris for asking me to speak and giving me this amazing opportunity. I would now like to tell my favorite story about a HATS experience, famously titled as The Weatherman Story. If you are far enough into the program, you may have heard this story from Chris as one of his directing fails. Now let us go back. Way back to when I was a mere 11 years old on the 6th grade Brazos campout. It started well. The weather was fairly hot and the river ran low that year because of drought, but no one tipped over and we all made it safely to the campsite. Chris, being the director and safety officer, was in charge of keeping everyone updated about the weather. And since we were all fairly new campers, we went to him seeking guidance about the weather that night. He updated everyone that there was no chance of rain, and that it would be fine if we did not put on our rain flags. For some ungodly reason, my dad and I decided to put our rain flag on. My dad had a set rule that we always put the rain flag on no matter how hot it was. Worst comes to worst, we can just roll up the edges so that air can pass through. It ended up being my dad and I, another dad-daughter team, and Chris who put our rain flags on. Chris confirms again that there would be no rain that night. I woke up at 2 a.m. to the sound of rain pattering heavily on the fly, and the frantic whisper screaming of dads scrambling about to get their rain flags on. Meanwhile, my father and I were curled comfortably in our cots, silently giggling to ourselves. As it turns out, there is no self-service 10 miles down the Brazos River, meaning that the weather report Chris had been continually checking all day was the same one he saw the morning right before. Consequently, Chris is now known as the weatherman. To continue more about my HATS experience, my dad and I have always found a way to make our campouts an individual experience for us. There is no HATS campout without a Dairy Queen stop both on the way there and on the way back. We have become well known in the community for bringing a tent that can hold a small car inside it. Some dads and kids find it easier to bring a 2 or 3-man tent. While very admirable, I vow to never ever bring a 2-man tent unless absolutely necessary. On a very different note, I really enjoy that HATS is a non-denominational organization. My dad and I are Jewish and fairly observant. Ever since campouts begin on Friday nights at the same time as Shabbat starts, we had to make accommodation to our Shabbat plans. We would typically bring 2 small candles and a little foil to stand them up on, and a tiny challah from Tom Thumb. If we were feeling fancy, we occasionally brought grape juice with us. No wine, of course. We should all be very aware of this non-negotiable. Of course, the supplies aren't ideal, but there was something so special about celebrating Shabbat under the stars with my dad. Now you're probably wondering what I have to say about the guy behind me, and to that, I say so much. I could go on about the time we got stuck sideways on a rock, in a kayak, or when we were endlessly spinning in our communication device down the Brazos River, but I won't burden you with those details. My dad is the most incredible guy. Not only does he work an 8 to 5 job, but he works out at the crack of dawn, and he makes time for not 1, but 3 children in their campouts, and he remains humble and kind while doing so. Although I must say, I think his sense of humor sort of balances out all that good stuff. Now I'm kidding, I have the exact same sense of humor. On a more serious note, part of the HATS mission claims to grow relationships and communication with your dad, and I can undoubtedly say that I have done so. My dad is someone I know I can fully rely on, trust him with my life. HATS has shown me that I can go to my dad for anything, advice, a listening ear, or even a shoulder to cry on. HATS has enabled me to go to my dad to confess feelings of anxiety or sadness, to ask for guidance on different issues, and to have the trust in him to tell him new and significant things I discovered about myself. I couldn't ask for anyone better to go on these adventures with than him. To now complete my experience with the HATS mission, I would like to touch on my experience with leadership. In HATS, the first leadership experiences begin with mentoring. If you've camped with me before, you know I can be very loud, bubbly, and energetic, but it might surprise you that I'm quite introverted. I'd like to consider myself a good public speaker today, but I absolutely did not start out that way. My first mentoring experience was in the 5th grade, and while I was both excited and nervous, I probably did a pretty terrible job. Regardless, it motivated me to continue mentoring. There was something incredibly exciting about the idea that I could inspire other young girls the way that they inspired me, or the way that mentors inspired me. I vividly remember being enraptured with the way mentor girls led games so confidently. Middle school was a very rough time in my life, and mentoring gave me a way to feel seen and heard that I didn't get to be at school. As I continued mentoring, my confidence improved drastically. In the 8th grade, I entered WLA, Wilderness Leadership Academy. I came to these campouts thinking that I knew a decent amount about how to be a good speaker. I was so wrong. When I left WLA, I learned how to lead and speak to a crowd in different situations, how to position yourself when speaking to a crowd. This looks horrible, but it's super comfortable, and this looks great, but it feels horrible. How to begin and end when you speak, and how to give feedback effectively. I also learned that sometimes it's okay to start a fire Friday night when the temperature's in the single digits. To finish out my leadership in HATS, I was offered to attend Camp Director Academy. During this campout, high-up directors like Chris Bowles and John Baldwin teach us about how to be an effective and strong director. They tell stories like the one I detailed earlier, about situations that could potentially happen and how to remain resilient in dealing with them. While these weekends were amazingly helpful in terms of how to lead, my best experiences have actually been getting to mentor and direct. The leadership campouts can only teach so much about how to handle a hypothetical situation. Getting to truly be in the moment helps my public speaking and leadership skills incredibly. I also learned a lot about people and the way we act, and it has helped me to lead better. Because of my leadership experience in HATS, I have endeavored to involve myself in more opportunities at my school, such as joining the Arts Leadership Council, auditioning to be one of the lead singers in our school's band, Essential Standards, and have been involved in the National Honor Society all 4 years of high school. I have talked about my HATS experience in both my high school and college entry essays, and I can undoubtedly say when the time comes, you should too. It is something unique and powerful which admissions love to see. I am so incredibly grateful that I have been able to receive the most amazing leadership education I can imagine. I know that it will continue to help me as I embark on the next big chapter of my life, college. I hope you all find the same joy in HATS that I found with my dad, and so, yeah. No, wait, what am I thinking? Never end a speech with so yeah. Instead, I will end with this. I look back on that 9-year-old who was too shy to say her name to a small group of people, and I smile. Because now, I have the confidence, in front of 100 or so people, even more, tonight, to finally say, hello, my name is Eva, and this is my dad, Dawn, and I will always be a proud